As soon as it starts to hammer, if you keep going, it strips. It's because I'm using this outdoor plywood as the stringer, because it's for a short span. It doesn't check and break and stuff as easy as milled lumber, but screwing into the end grain is not as good on plywood. Remember the other day when I was talking about the old proverb, the living dog is better than the dead lion? I just noticed a propensity with myself to start big projects or have grand schemes for big ideas. The new me, you know, this is going to be the new me from this day on. And I've had them grind to a halt again and again because we don't give ourselves enough patience to pick up from that moment on. So because we messed up our big plan, we kind of throw it all out for a while, and we kind of breaking Amish, you know, we just go a little wild. Whether it's some diet that you went on because you wanted to cut the fat, and then you realize you got invited to some picnic or wedding or something that was going to make it really hard to keep that plan, and so you just kind of crash the whole plan to a halt because of that. Or it might be that I remember once I was going to quit drinking forever because I had rolled my truck and had a bunch of drama happen because of drinking, and then I made a vow that I would quit from then on forever. But then the very next day I was going to Vegas, and so when the next day rolled around and I was in Vegas, and back then they gave you free alcohol if you were gambling. So I'm like, well, I can't quit now. The alcohol's free. That's the kind of thing I'm saying. The lion-like plan, it'll kind of test your conviction. It ends up dead. The little plan, the living dog, the Chihuahua, I call it, the small plan, is what lasts. The tiny little plan, the one that you take on for a short time, can lead to another little plan, and I'll explain that. The secret to the success of the little plan is in the now, because it's dealing with the present more so than the big future grand plan of this is how I'm gonna be someday, or this is how it's gonna be. It looks too far ahead. I mean, setting goals is good, but that sort of scenario just never works. For me, it doesn't work. I have to go with more of a incremental approach. I saw this quote yesterday, I think it was. It said, "Forever is comprised of nows." And I thought that was really cool, because forever, and you could put it that way, or you could say your future is comprised of nows. What your scenarios, your circumstances are, many of them are dictated by what your now is, what you choose to do now. And I think there's great power in that, because it doesn't cripple you by looking forward too far. My daughter said something today. She was talking about her braces. Her teeth were pretty crooked, right? And the braces did a lot for them. But the doctor's telling her, you gotta leave the rubber bands on in order for them to move. And she was telling me, they're not gonna move. And I'm all, well, you've been keeping the rubber bands on? No. Well, do what they tell you and they'll move. And she says, it's not going to work. It's taken too long. And I thought, there it is. It's the impatience with who we're going to be isn't here yet. And so it's not always a bad thing. I mean, I asked her, well, are they good enough? She said, they're good enough. And I was like, well, that's cool. That's different. That's decisive. That's different than I can't affect change by sticking to it. Because if you tell yourself that, then it's a lie. You're lying to yourself. And I don't mind decisiveness. My teeth are good enough. Let's accept them. Hey, that's great. There's a lot of peace to be found in decisiveness. Deciding what you will or will not do is awesome because it fires this whole committee of worriers that you have in your mind. It's like, don't need you anymore. I've made a decision. And you get rid of the worriers and release the warriors, so to speak. And anybody who's ever been around committees, I mean, I'm using it as a analogy for the committee in my head that gets me asking a lot of questions and sort of stalls me. But if you've been on any board or anything like that, you know that a committee is just a long hallway that ideas are led down to eventually be strangled to death. What am I talking about, you might ask? I'm talking about that weed that was growing up through my deck. That big, adventitious volunteer that was growing up through my deck and mocking me because I hadn't finished yet. Those little weeds that we allow to grow in our minds, you know, or that our detractors might use to say, see, I knew you were never going to amount to nothing, or you're always this way, or you're always that way. I was letting that weed grow there. You probably were thinking, when's he going to get that thing out of the way? You know, it looks bad. Well, I kind of let it be there so that I could smother it later with progress. You know, it looks like it's going to win. It looks like I'm going nowhere. But no, the little Chihuahua plan that I refuse to let go of, that, you know, weeks have gone by, months, probably a year since I started this. But now it's nearly done. Well, this part of it, still got a long ways to go that way. That's the beauty of the now. It makes the past irrelevant. The past has no teeth because it's past. It's gone. You can't do anything about it. It's over. So you have the now to do something with. And so it doesn't need to wreck your present. I know this is probably all so generalized and sorry, it's a little difficult for me to go into existential philosophy when my current project is making me scratch my head too much. That tree must have come from Home Depot. As a matter of fact. Well, actually I don't remember, but that's what the lumber would look like if I brought the trees I've been cutting to Home Depot or to the mill. Sometimes people who don't know get in the comment section and talk about wasting lumber. But a lot of the stuff we cut is not desirable to the mills. I guess what I'm saying is, just because that little weed of inactivity grew in your life for a while, it doesn't mean you won't win, because you have the most powerful thing, and that is the right now to work with. What I would say is, I mean, I hate to get all advicey, but I'm about to. Make a box for a little check mark. Something simple. Like, what is it you want to do? Is it fitness? Is it a diet thing? Is it some way to better your life? Is it maybe a relationship goal? I need to grow closer to this person, or or maybe I need to make steps to distance myself from that group or this person. What's going to be best, you know? And then write down some small step, like take fitness for example. It could just say go to the gym. Doesn't even have to say work out. Or it could say 5 push-ups, because you could write the 5 push-ups down, put a box next to it, and get a happy little check mark right away, and then build like that. I don't know why I want to encourage random people. Sorry, I just called you random. That wasn't nice. I don't know why I want to encourage in a general way people, but I guess I do. Because I've seen some things work, and when you see something work, you just kind of talk about it. Whether it's like a new truck or a new tool, or you're happy about your life, you just kind of, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, so to speak. 133 inches. So 133. These are about 5.5 divided by 5.5. It's going to be about 24. So 24 of these. Looks like I've got 15. I got some more chop saw work. I also don't want to give some like oversimplified encouragement, something empty and, you know, some just fluff. Because even with all your little plans and your little progress and you're happy, yay, I'm somebody doing something, it'll still grind to a halt, because stuff happens. It just happened recently to me where I was bettering myself. I was spending time with my daughter. We were going to the track. We were running. We had about 2 months in, and we were running 20 minutes at a whack, and cardiovascular health is improving, and relationship time is just awesome. It's all going great. And then I would go to this youth camp to work, and that's a good thing, right? I'm going to do a good thing. Give of my time, give of my money, give of my energy, go to teach people and give them a fun time. It's not got a lot to do with me at all. But running across the parking lot, I like stepped in this low spot, hyperextended my knee, and it hurt and it messed me up. And then later I was trying to get back on my Chihuahua plan, and I was doing these little exercises, calf raises and stuff, but I didn't give it enough time to rest, and I screwed up my knee bad. I couldn't walk. I was 8 days in bed. I could put no pressure on it. And then when I went anywhere, I went on crutches, and it swelled up really bad as soon as I dropped it below my head. And so I've just been on this big like vision quest of understanding just real recently. So, I mean, even though I was doing the right thing, maybe I didn't have the right reasons, because when it all ground to a halt, I got super depressed. And I thought, it's no fair, and started getting on the pity party. When those like bad things happen to good people type deals happen, if you can call yourself good, that makes me nervous. But when that type of stuff happens, it'll tell you your depth, like how altruistic were your goals. If they all just fall apart as soon as you get a little injury and you're like, poor me, you know, maybe you, I'm speaking to myself here, maybe you weren't that amazing. Maybe your depth wasn't very much at all, and maybe it's just because you've got enough going for you that you're happy at all. You don't haven't endured adversity or hardship or anything. If the first little thing that happens knocks you down and makes you want to give up and whine and complain to people, which I did a fair bit of. The cool thing about the crucible of suffering or hardship, adversity, is it'll teach you about yourself. It'll teach you whether you're a sincere, outgoing person or a whiny, shallow fraud, basically. And I think we're all somewhere in between this nice, sincere, happy, cheerful, positive people, and the complaining fraud type guy. So I know that sounds a little harsh, but I think we're all somewhere in between, and the best version of us, I think, comes from being patient enough with ourselves to put the work in on tiny little plans and sort of enjoy what you learn along the way, and document the progress if you can. I have this journal here. I'll show you some of what I've been talking about. So yeah, I write these little plans down. I have all these little things. I don't meet every goal that I set. Like here on this day, I had bids and I was going to work on this deck, and I had the Ditch Witch forks to put on. I needed to go to the dump. Well, that has a circle with a line through it. That never happened. Some of the things happen, some of the things don't. But then I renew. Like this day here, most of the stuff was crossed out and I really didn't do that well. But then the next day, I got 3 out of 7 or something. The point is, you just keep restarting. You just start again and again, and those little things, they add up. See here around like the 28. Well, what happened is, in the process, I think I cut my story off like a squirrel in traffic, and I didn't tell you what happened. But I was trying to condition myself back to where I could run on the track, and I was doing some calf raises, and my knee went out bad. And so MRI comes later. They say that there was a cyst behind my knee that ruptured, and it just like drained all of this knee fluid out all through everything and made the knee just junk for a while. And I didn't know that was happening. I just thought, oh, poor me, this is horrible. Why, what, when, who? I barely did anything, those things old people say. And what happened was I got nothing done. I wrote darkness, darkness, darkness. Just gloom, despair, and agony on me, like the old Hee Haw show. But now here we are, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. All pretty good progress. Not every box is checked, but a lot of them are checked. There's one day where I had a whole bunch of boxes, and I was just so tired from trying so hard and being half injured. Well, being injured, that I just went to bed early and slept for like 12 hours, and the next day I had to cross out all my boxes. Yeah, so big inspirational speech, but make a tiny little goal. Get off the couch. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Call that friend. Call that child. Call that parent. You could say, I'm going to clean my garage. I'm going to put in 15 minutes a day starting today. And you check that box as much as you can, and pretty soon your garage is going to be pretty clean, because you're not future tripping. And the past is neutered. The past is old news. The past is cut off at the feet, cut off at the hands, cut off at the head. Completely pointless. Should have no power. Past is gone. But the now, your future is comprised of those nows, and you have them right now. And it's really cool. It's a really cool thing to realize. Be patient with yourself and set a small goal and accomplish it. Probably should mention one other thing too. This is another thing I've found out through much pain, is occasionally there'll be something, you might be listening and having a specific problem in mind that you just don't know what to do about it. Like, what do I do about that? It may be just too big to even think of a small step. And what I say to those types of problems is, there's still a step you can write down. You can check the box, and it'll sound kind of silly, it'll sound kind of small, but it'll also be very hard to accomplish, I'll bet, for a lot of people. And that is, don't do anything to make it worse. Oftentimes we want change, and we're in a hurry for everything. We want that change now, especially if we're part of the reason we're in a predicament. We want vindication, or we want to be exonerated, or we want a new start, we want forgiveness, grace, we want to prove this is the new me or whatever, and you just can't have it sometimes. There's just times where the only thing you can do is choose to not make it worse. Look at your options, and if you have things you want to do that when you ponder them, you know won't help, that'll cause more drama, then check the box. Don't make it worse. Go a day without making it worse. Check the box. Go an hour. You may have to break the time increments down slower, but a little caution. That's a lesson I learned the hard way through trial and error. Wow, I got seriously philosophical and advicey, didn't I? But it's just what is going on with me right now. Stuff that I'm dealing with that I think has value, and if it's valuable to you, then I want to share it. And if it's not, then what I hurt? Nothing. It helps me like ground myself in what I thought I knew. You know, like a therapist that sits there quietly, and then the guy just pours his whole heart out, talks about all his problems, processes through everything, and then turns to the therapist and says, "Man, you're good." And the guy never said a thing. Kind of like that. So you're probably helping me just being out there. And hopefully I'm helping you too. Nice job.
Thank you.
Finally put a logo on the side of my truck. Been driving it around, just a white bucket truck, nondescript for ever since I bought it. Got the phone number up there. And I did this nice little touch. Gotta remind you of family waiting for you at home when you're doing this kind of stuff. I guess you don't have to, but I like to.
You're very good.